Can you commit to this committee now that you're going to give us the 25 million bags? Yes, our president is recognized.
Yes, Mr. Chair. I want to thank Congresswoman Green because she acknowledged that I was able to handle the Philippine situation during the global rice crisis in 2008. Anyways, that's why I think I'm in a good position to be able to say that I think it is a very sweeping accusation to say that the importers are the ones manipulating the rice. Because the importers are price takers. And so whatever is the rice that they order and buy, especially during this time where there's a global rice crisis, there's a certain we can really have a scientific guess of how much was their profit. But generally, in my experience, what they import is very close to what they sell to the wholesaler or the trader. So I don't think we can blame the importers per se only. There must be somebody else more guilty than them in the whole supply chain.
Thank you.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, just a comment to yes, tama yung ang sinasabi ni Madam former President GMA. Pero during the initial investigation here, yung sa supply chain kasi ma'am, na-prove natin dito that most of the importers are also controlling the wholesale market. Kasi sila mismo ang wholesaler. In fact, integrated yung merkado nila eh. Yung taga Mindanao, yung isa sa mga 7 billion cumulative revenue nila, yung matanda, soda, ano ba yon? Imagine mo, she's been doing the importation for the last 3 decades. Tapos, during the investigation, it was revealed na malaking wholesaler siya. Okay? And worse, she's also one of the biggest retailer. So, kontrolado nilang the whole supply chain. So, this is what is happening. This is a new phenomenon. And of course, they took advantage of the lowering of tariff by 20%. So, hindi talaga maiwasan na at some point may itatago talaga sila na dagdag na nakita nila when the tariffs were reduced. So ganun ang nangyari dito when we started the investigation.
Okay,
Mr.
thank you.
Chair.
Yes, Madam President, you're acknowledged.
Yeah, you were talking about the Mindanao, whatever is the role of this Mindanao rice person. Are you talking about Barnuevo?
No, Madam President, it was a different company.
Because I was but she's a Mindanao trader, and this morning, Congressman Salceda just said she's one of the better ones. So I'm glad that she's not the one you're talking about. Thank you.
You wanted to add, yes, admin.
I think from what I recall, Barnuevo is soda trade. Ayun siya yung may-ari, si Mrs. Barnuevo.
Okay, Mr. Chair.
So the trade, siya din yung may-ari.
No, is she the one that we are referring to?
If this is one and the same, we could
That
probably
is manipulating. That's what I want to know.
we could look into the records if this is the same.
The records say.
Comsec, can we look at the records of the importers if this is one and the same?
It's an importer. But what is being claimed here is that there is a Mindanao importer who is also a wholesaler, who is also a retailer. Ergo, you cannot avoid the conclusion that this Mindanao trader is guilty. So I just want to check whether it is indeed Mrs. Barnuevo, whom Congressman said earlier, but not in the session, not in the hearing, is one of the better ones.
Comsec, could you check the records of the resource persons of the large wholesalers?
Actually, Mr. Chair, yung result ng ating hearings since last week, since we invited the importers here, soda trade is only one of those who are engaged directly from importation to wholesaling and actual retail. Marami pa sila, ma'am, former President GMA, ang nag-admit dito that not only that soda trade, but other players in Bulacan and other parts of the Philippines admitted to the committee that they're also engaged in wholesaling and actual retail.
Chair, because you mentioned Mindanao Trader.
No, it's more than that, Madam President. We've also discussed during the last Quinta committee that some of these large importers, wholesalers, traders have a monopoly until, I think, almost until the retail. So they have a monopoly in that supply chain. And I think there is an allegation that they are also the creditors to some of our farmers for the contract growing. Well, I'm not so sure who was able to give that allegation, or they were able to deduce that they could also act as creditors somewhere within the whole supply chain. Anyway,
A very important point, Mr. Chair, because we may be putting our blame on the wrong party, and how will we solve this problem, especially in the immediate run? Are we going to raid the importers also? Is that going to solve our problem before New Year? Right now, our problem is solving it before New Year. If we put the blame on the wrong parties, then we will go farther away from the solution. And I'm telling you this as someone who's been there, done that.
thank you, Madam President. Okay, I think it would be good for us to get back to the topic that Congressman Garin is asking NFA with regards to the selling of how much? Their inventory by December and January, so that we will be able to stabilize the rice prices amid the assumed demand during this holiday season. On record, what could NFA actually commit to the committee, especially to those who, I think during that meeting you said that you wanted to correct the records that you were able to dispose of. What could you commit to the committee that we will be able to sell to the Kadiwa farms this December and January before the harvest season?
Mr. Chair, yung kaya nating i-commit ngayon immediately ay 106,824 bags. Then by next month, January, meron tayong mga 308,539 bags. Lahat po ng ating aging stocks, we can commit, wala pong problema sa presyo na 29. In fact, we will be really happy na ma-dispose po ito. Kung meron lang akong legal cover to dispose kahit yung bagong giling, i-dispose ko po. Just to give a perspective. Kulang po kaming ng 300 million.
Administrator, I don't know what definition do you wish to understand right now that this is an emergency. No, we are not in a situation of calamity, but the situation is we have to arrest the rising cost of rice. So, I understand where you're coming from. You need a legal cover, no? Kasi may limitation nga yung batas. So,
Mr. Chair,
kailangan, sabi ko nga kanina, the Secretary of Agriculture will not take it against you. If we decide, should NFA decide at this point? Kasi sabi ko nga kanina yung sitwasyon ngayon requires a very serious interventional approach. Kailangan operahan na It should be surgical right now. So yun yung tinatanong ni Congresswoman Garin kanina, because initially, you had committed that for the month of December, 25 million kilos could be accommodated by NFA. Yun pala, ang 25 million na to is graduated, meaning 108,000 bags muna, 380 sa susunod na buwan, etc. Just to adhere to the definition of aging rice. Pero may legal cover naman tayo We are in a state of, public emergency na kailangan natin i-arrest talaga because of profiteers. Profiteering na kasing nangyayari ngayon sa presyo ng bigas eh. Yes, Yusek Asis.
Yes,
Mr. Chair, before that, Mr. Chair, I just have one query through the chair. When is the point of reckoning? After na giniling, or pwede ba ang point of reckoning is yung pagbili ng palay, pag-deliver ng palay? What is there in the law? Because if the law is silent on that, then you cannot insist on a point of reckoning that is based on the milling date.
NFA.
What is the legal definition of an aging rice? Meron ba?
Sa ngayon po, sa bagong RTL, meron na talaga very clear. 3 months pag bigas, 6 months for palay. That's the definition. And then sa bagong RTL nga,
Yeah, Mr. Chair, sorry ha. This is the new law signed last week or 2 weeks ago. Di ba? But when this is still applicable next year. Right? Yeah, so what applies now? Because there's no clear definition yet.
ang reckoning po ng pagbilang nung pag umabot ng 3 months ay yung from the date of milling.
Where is that in the provision, Mr. Chair? Can you point that in the law? Nasa batas ba siya?
Titingnan po namin, no, but nung dumating po ako sa NFA, yan na po yung definition nila sa ahensya and nasa standard operating procedure. We will check on the law itself kung ano po yung sinasabi.
Kasi, Mr. Chairman, kasi if your hands are tied by this legal obstacle, yun yung sinasabi ko kanina eh. You know, the justification for NFA to intervene sa market is because of, profiteering condition right now, Administrator. Alam naman natin, kawawa na talaga ang taong bayan, no? Kailangan ng gobyerno na i-disrupt ang merkado. So, government has to play the role of a market disruptor, if only to bring prices down. So, alam nyo naman, the free market forces, huwag tayong maniwala doon. Kasi, naging guest din natin dito sila lahat. Wala namang nag-commit sa kanila na ibaba ang presyo ng ng bigas eh. Did you hear any of those players committing to this committee that they will bring down prices of rice? No one. Di ba, Mr. Chair? Wala eh. Who is willing to say before the committee, Mr. Chairman, hero ako eh. So I want to bring down prices tomorrow. Kasi sila lahat nag-usap-usap eh. So, ganun lang ang situation ngayon. So, if there is one clear justification why government should intervene is for NFA, to disrupt the market and get rid of your stocks. Whether it's aging or not, the Filipino people need your cheap rice. Ganun lang kasimple yan, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Thank you, Congressman Biron. Actually, I just wanted to add to it. Kasi yung market forces, we could rely on the market forces if we are assuming an efficient market. But we were able to already deduce from the several hearings that there are only 10 players. Okay? 10, just 10 entities. Baka iba dyan sa 10 entities, parehong pamilya din naman, control at least 28% of the market. So we could not say that we could rely on market forces to dictate the efficient or the optimal cost of rice, because it's obviously that they've cornered a quarter of the market already. And wouldn't that actually, on NFA or even in the Department of Agriculture's definition, be considered a time where we could introduce government intervention? Because Well, there is a surging price of rice. Yes, Nia, admin.
Yes, sir. Ganito na lamang po. Meron tayong kasabihan, sir. Anything that you cannot, meron tayong kasabihan. Anything that you cannot control, you cannot manage. So tama po kayo. Hindi natin basta maibaba yung presyo ng bigas ng ganon-ganon. Pero meron po tayong sariling control. Halimbawa, yung stocks po ng NIA sa aming contract farming. Pwede ho namin yun mabenta. Ang gawin na lamang po natin, dapat sa lahat ng market sa buong Pilipinas, gawin nating available yung sinasabi natin murang bigas. In the case of NIA, meron kaming 29 pesos and 45 pesos para sa rice for all, di ho ba? Kung lahat po sana ng lahat ng LGUs ay maglagay ng kanilang pwesto sa kanilang sa kanilang public markets at bumili sa amin, and then ialaw kami ng batas na yung aming budget ay pwede naming i-revolve. Ano po? Kasi kailangan naming isuli sa sa treasury. Dapat ialaw kami na i-revolve yung aming fund. Tuloy-tuloy nating mapaikot yung ating pondo. Tuloy-tuloy po tayong may supply ng murang bigas sa palengke. Kasi iba-iba po yung klase ng bigas eh. Merong well-milled, merong 5% broken. Hindi natin masasabi na maibaba natin. Ang importante lamang po sana na pagkailangan ng ating mga mamamayan ng murang bigas, meron doon sa palengke. At least yun ang kaya natin i-control. And the part of NIA, kaya po namin gawin yon. Basta, ang hiling lang namin sa Kongreso, ialaw kami na i-revolve yung aming pondo. Hindi namin isusuli sa Bureau of Treasury. Yun lamang po. Very simple lamang po yung aming kahilingan.
Okay, thank you, admin. But we nabanggit na rin naman kanina that we are intending to put up the pilot sites already na rin naman sa NFA of the existing stock. Baka pwede doon tayo magsimula. Total, it's supposed to be a pilot site anyway. Hindi naman to an overall market intervention. Tingnan natin on how the market responds already with the pilot sites. We just need from NFA yung commitment kung ano yung kaya nilang i-dispose within December and January. We monitor, we analyze kung ano yung maging result sa merkado, and then we could already scale this operation. But first, Congressman Garin, are you done? Would you wish to yield muna so that we could go through the
Yes,
the list?
Mr. Chair. Just for the record, Mr. Chair, the law does not state whether the point of reckoning is on the delivery of the palay or the day of milling. So what's not in the law should not be interpreted as kinagisnan ng NFA.
So actually, with that, NFA has a greater level of flexibility to determine when it is actually optimal for them to implement this project. Okay. Sige, well, Congressman Garin, let's move on to Representative Lani Mercado Revilla.
Maraming salamat po, Mr. Chair. Akala ko hindi na ako makakapagtanong. Good afternoon po sa DA family and to NIA. My question is, I would like to direct my question to Admin Eduardo Edigilien of NIA, if he is available. I think Chairman Ferge Biron is still talking to him, or probably Engineer Roald Revilla. You can answer my question. Thank you very much. Sige po. I was listening to your report this morning before coming here. It is over 3 o'clock already. It's 3:10 to be exact. And you mentioned that the priority of NIA is food production and irrigation would solve the problem. Sa amin po sa lungsod ng Bacoor, we still have NIA properties. And I understand this was turned over to the province of Cavite. Is this correct, Mr. Chair?
Madam Chair, yung water rights po ang nire-assign namin sa provincial government.
So water rights, ano hong ibig sabihin ng water rights ang binigay niyo po sa probinsya ng Cavite?
At para mabigyan lang kayo ng overview, meron kaming around 20 plus na dams sa Cavite, ano po? 24, and we used to irrigate 40,000 hectares. Ngayon po ay nasa 800 hectares na lang, more or less. Now, sayang po kasi yung tubig na na-repurpose na po kasi yung ng water rights ng NIA into multipurpose. Meaning, pwede na po kami sa bulk water, pwede po sa irrigation, para po magkaroon ng equitable distribution ng tubig sa Cavite. We opted po na makipagmuha sa provincial government para sila po ang mag-develop o kumuha ng mag-process dun sa tubig natin para po sa para po sa Cavite, para po sa mga tao ng Cavite.
Okay.
Opo.
Thank you
So,
very much for answering that question. Mr. Chair, bakit po sa lalawigan ito ibinigay, ang water rights na ito, at hindi sa local government unit na siyang sumasakop nito for better management?
Well, ito po kasi ay MOA din namin po with NWRB, with MWSS. Kasi po may mga portion po kasi sa Cavite na nandoon sa MWSS yung concession, ma'am. So para hindi ho magka-problema, we opted po na sa province para, bigger picture, bigger ano. And we were hoping also na yung province, of course, ang interest niya is for the whole of Cavite.
Yes. You made mention that the irrigation o yung NIA water rights has been given to the province para maging equitable ang usage nito. Meaning,
Pwera
ito ho
pala
ba,
yun.
ang dahilan ho ba nito ay para sa water crisis, lingering water crisis na na-experience po natin taon-taon?
Yes, totoo po yan. Ano po pala, ma'am? Hindi po pala namin i-turn over sa province yung mga concession na under ng MWSS. Hindi ko lang kabisado kung anong mga towns yun eh. But I think Bacoor is isa doon sa under ng
We
MWSS.
are under Maynilad, sir.
Maynilad pala.
Yes.
Yeah. But Maynilad is sa MWSS po niya kinuha yung. At kami naman po sa MWSS, meron po kaming MOA din kasi. Doon sa ating Potatan station, ma'am. Ano po. So, para hindi ho magkaroon ng complication, we opted po na sa province
So lalabas ho niyaan kung ang prioridad na natin ngayon sa lalawigan ng Cavite, who used to have 40,000 hectares of irrigated land and now ang nagagamit na lang out of the 400,000 hectares ay 800 hectares na lang. Would you say na medyo hindi na maganda ang productivity ng bigas o ng pagkain sa lalawigan ng Cavite?
Yes, ma'am, kasi karamihan ng lupa po ninyo doon is residential and industrial area na po eh. Opo.
Did you consider that there are already 4.5 to more than, or probably increasing as I speak right now, baka 5 million na nga o 6 million na ang populasyon? Wouldn't that create an imbalance? Since, for example, nangyari, nung nakaraang mga taon, dumaan ng COVID, nagsara ang boundaries ng bawat lalawigan, ng bawat local government unit, nawalan ng pamamaraan ng pagdidistribute ng pagkain, bumaba ang produksyon ng pagkain sa lalawigan ng Cavite, and probably other provinces which NIA has probably have given the water rights to the province or the local government unit. Hindi nyo na sinusunod ang mandato ninyo bilang NIA, Mr. Chair?
At ako po, Mr. Chair, Madam, ang reclassification po kasi ng lupa sa ating mga LGUs ay nakasalalay po sa local government units.
I'm sorry, I would like to correct that. Hindi po lahat nakasalalay sa local government unit, lalo na po kung agricultural land. Dahil may papel po na ginagampanan ang Department of Agrarian Reform dito.
Yes, ma'am.
Tama po ba ako?
Tama po. Ganito po kasi, ma'am, iba po kasi ang DAR po kasi ay doon po sila sa conversion. Ang local government units ay doon po sa reclassification. Now, kung nire-classify ng LGU as industrial or residential, yun ang magbibigay po ng permiso sa DAR para i-convert siya into such purpose.
sa nangyayaring problema po ngayon, Mr. Chair, ng ating bansa, that we lack production, do you think it is most proper at this time that we lack production, that the classification or reclassification of land should now be controlled? Kasi lumalabas, we are the greatest importer already in the world, most probably, or in Asia. I want to be corrected on that or be educated on that. Sa tingin niyo ho ba, panahon na para ang control ng reclassification ay hindi mapunta sa local government unit, kundi possibly sa opisina o tanggapan na ng Pangulo para mabigyan at masuportahan na ang food production sa ating bansa sa ngayon?
I agree, Mr. Chair. Dapat kasi pag gumawa tayo ng irrigation project, meron po tayong investment meron po tayong investment sa project na 'yan. And then pag nagawa mo ng irrigated, i-convert lang into residential or industrial, parang nade-defeat yung purpose eh. So dapat po siguro bawat LGU muna, kasi wala pa namang batas, ma'am, ano po, dapat LGU po muna, meron na silang fixed na comprehensive land use program. Di ba meron po tayong CLUP and required po tayo doon eh. Of course, ang pagmamalasakit po niyan sa CLUP nasa mga LGUs. Now, maganda rin kung national, kasi ang national tulad namin sa NIA, pag ginawa namin ng isang irrigation facility, sasabihin namin kay national, ito yung mga ginawa naming irrigation facilities, ito yung sakop niya, huwag itong i-convert. So, national law po, dapat po siguro gumawa ang Congress ng isang batas para po sa ganong purpose.
Sige po. Noted on that, Mr. Chair. May isang katanungan po ko, hindi ho ba mandato rin ng NIA or mandated po kayo ng batas na mag-monitor ng mga irrigation projects and properties ninyo? Tama po ba?
Tama po yun, ma'am.
Aware po kayo na meron pong mga irrigation properties po kayo na natuyuan na ng tubig? Aware po ba kayo doon?
Natuyuan ng tubig.
Natuyuan po, ibig sabihin, it's not
Yes.
functioning.
Yes, ma'am. Meron po.
Yes. Opo. Ano ho ang mga ginagawa po ninyo para mabigyan o ng buhay muli ang mga irrigation canals na ito para hindi naman mawalan tayo ng produksyon ng pagkain sa ating bansa?
Una po, ang pinanggagalingan kasi ng ating mga patubig sa ating mga irigasyon ay sa mga ilog. Ay lahat po ng ilog natin sa buong Pilipinas silted na. Kaya po kami kumakatok sa DPWH na yung kanilang flood control projects ay maggawa naman sila ng mga sabo dams to control yung sedimentation and the velocity of water para ho mabawasan ang sedimentation. Yun po yung una. Pangalawa po, sa aming program, gaya ng binanggit namin sa inyo kanina, meron kaming 300,000 hectares na hindi na namin napapatubigan dahil nga una, kailangan niya ng repair and restoration. Pangalawa, kulang talaga ng tubig para doon sa mga tail end ng aming irrigation facilities. So may mga pondo po kaming hinihingi para rito.
Mr. Chair, naniniwala po ako sa inyong, hindi ako masyadong naniniwala sa monitoring ninyo. Bakit? Aware po ba kayo na meron po kayong mga irrigation canals na natayuan na ng mga informal settler families?
Yes, Madam Chair. In fact, kahit sa Cavite, po, yung aming putatan, irrigation, malaki yung kanal namin no? Nung chinek ko, may mga subdivision pa doon sa taas. So, pero itong term ko po, ma'am, sorry, is that pina-identify ko yung mga properties ng NIA at nagtayo po kami ng Asset Recovery Management Office para po sinisecure namin yung titles and then nawala na pong mangyayaring garon. So during my term, meron na po kaming...
Mr. Chair, I would like to request NIA to provide us with a report of this irrigation properties na meron pong mga informal settler families which we have to relocate. Kasi paano natin bubuhayin ang irigasyon kung may mga pabahay na nandun at I'm sure yung irrigation canals na yun, tinatapunan pa ng basura ng ating pong mga informal settler families, which is very sad. Bakit ko ito nasasabi? Dahil ito po ay nangyayari sa sarili kong distrito. Nung ako po ay alkalde, na-discover ko po ito at I was being required to relocate around 300 families in a certain area. I would name the barangay. It's Barangay Molino 2 in my district. And ang problema, hikahos na ho tayo sa pabahay. Kulang na tayo sa pabahay. And bago tayo makapanlimos ng pabahay sa National Housing Authority, uunahin natin syempre yung mga nasunugan, tinamaan ng bagyo, tinamaan ng landslide, at kung ano-ano pa. So I would like to request this chamber to demand NIA and give us a report on these properties. Dahil problema po ito. Kailangan po natin mag-resettle, kailangan natin buhayin ang irigasyon. Tama po ba ako, Mr. Chair?
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, tama
yes,
po.
Nia,
In fact,
Nia, please comply. And maybe if you could submit to this committee.
Yeah, in fact, in Cavite, Mr. Chair, dahil wala naman ako yung pinapatubigan doon, ang proposal pa nga namin, yung aming kanal, malapad po eh. And then 17 kilometers siya mahigit.
Ano po ang proposal ninyo, Mr.
Ang
Chair?
proposal sana namin kung gagawing daan, gagawing kalsada ng Cavite. Gusto naming i-turn over nga sa inyo para gawing kalsada kasi magkukross siya sa mga matraffic na mga areas eh. Kung maklear po 'yon, willing po kami na pag-uusapan, baka mapakinabangan po ng at least magawang kalsada para mabawasan ang traffic.
Dahil
sa Cavite.
tuyo na po ang mga kanal na ito.
Opo, hindi naman namin na ginagamit. Hindi na siya functional, ma'am.
I think we should really have an inventory of these areas. Kasi lumalabas ito, usable pa ba? Kung hindi usable, baka pwede nang baguhin ang pagpaplano para sa mga irrigation canals na ito. Dahil alam ko meron pong mga irrigation canals na nabili na ho ng mga commercial establishments at gagawin ng mga malls o kaya commercial buildings. Tama po ba ako, Mr. Chair?
Tama po. Mr. Chair, in fact, again, ulitin ko, kung matulungan kami ng local government unit sa ganong paraan, again, una, pwede naming i-turn over sa inyo, yung through MUA, at sana mabigyan lang kami ng certain portion para sa pabahay ng ating Pangulo naman.
Isa pa hong tanong, Mr. Chair. Aware po kayo na sa aming pong distrito na meron pa hong existing na 182 hectares under the SAF-DC ng Bacoor? Tama pa ho ba yung inyong data on this? Kasi yun po ang nakikita ho namin sa comprehensive land use plan ng aming
Yes,
pong
meron.
distrito.
Actually, meron pang natitira. Ito yung Strategic Agriculture and Fisheries Development Zone ng Bacoor. So meron pa pong area. Opo.
Aware din po kayo na meron pa rin ho tayong Molino irrigation system.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Aware din po ba kayo na marami po sa mga irrigation canals na ito ay pinatay nyo na at hindi na nagagamit ng agricultural sector para makapagtanim dahil kayo po ay nautusang patayin ito?
Not in my term, hindi po ako...
Pero totoong pinatay na ang irigasyon. It's just a yes or a no. Pinatay po ba? O natatakot ho kayong magsalita, Mr. Chair?
Nia, please respond.
Check ko po, ma'am. I will check.
What do you mean by you will check?
Well, para ho, tama po yung sasagot ko, sir. Papa-evaluate ko po yung irrigation canal kung...
Mr. Chair, I am aware that the irrigation system in my district has slowly been stopped due to conversion. Although the intent of the local government unit is to preserve certain areas, and it is inside our CLUP na makikita po na nandun, nakalagay na green, ito po ay for agricultural because we want to maintain the balance in our local government unit to provide food at wag patayin totally ang agricultural sector dahil mahal ho namin ang mga magsasaka. But unfortunately, dahil po sa mga investors at sa mga land developers, ito po ay minsan ay nape-pressure po ang ibang departamento ng ating gobyerno na patayin ang patubig, minsan ay patayan pa ng kuryente para lang matupad yung kanilang hangarin na mag-develop ng mga lupang ito. That is progress, that is development. Pero yun nga, ang nagsasuffer ay ang ating food production, pagkain. So I think we should focus on that again, Mr. Chair. Dahil tila yun ang, ano bang direksyon ang pupuntahan ng agricultural sector? Magpapadami ho ba tayo ng subdivisions? Magpapadami ba tayo ng commercial establishments? O tututukan natin kung ano na ang existing na agricultural properties ngayon? Pagyamanin ang irigasyon, pagyamanin ang mga magsasaka, pagyamanin ang mga fisher folk natin para hindi mamatay ang food production sa ating bansa. I think we should set priorities on that, Mr. Chair. May penalties ho ba? O may batas ho ba tayo na nagsasaad na pinagbabawal ang pagpatay ng irigasyon sa mga agricultural lands dito po sa ating bansa? I do believe there is. And the penalty should be implemented. And there should be, DA, are you doing your job to monitor itong mga pagpatay ng irigasyon na ito? Kasi ang mandato po ninyo is to prioritize food production. How can you prioritize food production if irrigation is being killed in certain areas?
DA, please respond.
Yung pagpatay po ng irrigation definitely will be a shared responsibility between DA and NIA because NIA has the primary mandate to irrigate the land. Ang isa pong pwedeng tingnan namin sa ngayon, and thank you for reminding us, yung pong illegal conversion of land. Kasi yung illegal conversion po, sa pagkakaalam ko, although this law is being implemented by the Department of Agrarian Reform, has penal provisions. And my understanding, at least what I know from the field, is that the taking out of irrigation facility is a prelude often to illegal land conversion.
And we are aware, Mr. Chair, that there is an AO, Administrative Order 20 of former President Fidel Valdez Ramos, which states that all irrigated and irrigatable agricultural lands in the country shall not be subject to and non-negotiable for conversion. Sabi po nga na nag-i-invest ang government sa construction ng irrigation projects tapos mako-convert lang po ang lupa. I'm sure you are aware of that administrative order, Mr. Chair.
Yes, ma'am. And in fact, it also included, if I am not mistaken, areas that has firm funding commitment for irrigation is also included. Not yet irrigated, but has firm funding commitment.
So would you say that the awarding of water rights of NIA to an LGU or to a province is illegal, hindi sumusunod dito sa administrative order na ito?
Mr. Chair, actually, nung pinag-aralan namin yung system, talagang yung operated area o yung willing na lang po magtanim ay mababa na po eh. So instead na masayang po yung tubig, ay may narapat po namin, kasi again, yung aming water rights naman ay pwede nang gamitin sa bulk water. Imbes na matatapon lang or masasayang lang, we opted na ibigay yung extra. Actually, ito po yung extra water namin sa i-reassign yung water rights sa provincial government para magamit po sa nainumin ng mga sa Cavite.
Salamat po. Pero sa tingin ko po ay naniniwala po ako na marami pa rin hong magsasaka na gustong magtanim. Kaya lang huminto na dahil pinatayan na ho ng irigasyon sa amin pong distrito. And that is why you cannot give us farm-to-market roads for agriculture because kino-consider nyo na nga na wala ng agrikultura. Pero meron pa rin kahit papaano. At pinapatay po ito dahil pinatay na ang irigasyon. Yun po ang katotohanan sa aming distrito. And I would like to put that on record. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. And I hope NIA and DA can assist us on this dahil meron ho kayong may tanggapan po kayo sa aming munisipyo, Department of Agriculture. Yun nga lang, nagfo-focus na lang sila sa fisheries. Ang pagsasaka ay medyo isinasantabi na dahil pinatay na nga po ang irigasyon. And since I sat here as a representative of my district 2010, nagpa-plot po ako ng farm to market road sa aming distrito. Pero sasabihan po ako ng mga datihan ng mga kongresista na, Lani, hindi na pwedeng maglagay ng farm to market road dyan dahil papatayin na ang irigasyon. And that happened since then on when I was seated here. And that is the reality, Mr. Chair. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you, Representative Revilla. So yes, to the DA and to the NIA, if you will be able to submit to the committee the reports and allegations regarding yung turning off yung irrigation. Actually, we're done, but I think Congressman Viron wanted
Yes,
to say something.
our NAIA administrator. Yes. Kanina, admin, may pinakita kayo doon, no, na app, no, monitoring the condition of solar-powered areas, no, solar-powered irrigation facilities. Oh, and nakita ko doon, the AI also includes program for spraying schedule, spraying instruction. Anong ibig sabihin doon? When you do spraying schedule, are you doing that by drone? By ano ba? Kasi, you know, if we adopt the technology provided by Israel, kompleto sila eh. So may drone monitoring sila, may satellite monitoring, and then drone din ang nag-spray, drone din ang nagmo-monitor when is the ideal harvest time, etc., etc. So far, ano ba ang technology that you had employed, and how much did it cost government?
Actually, Mr. Chair, yung yung system namin is na-develop po ng Israel, Israel technology po yun. Yun pong sinasabi ko kanina na masasabi naman kung kailan mag-spray kasi depende sa weather. Baka mahangin masyado or may ulan na darating para masabihan namin yung farmer kung kailan mag-spray. Yung pong paggamit ng drone doon, ito ginagamit ko sa akin. Kasi naka-GIS system po siya. Ang kagandahan ng system namin, hindi ibig sabihin na lahat ng area kailangan niya ng pag-spray. Nakikita namin kung saan lamang yung area. So pwede mo po yung i-program sa drone para pagbitaw mo ng drone, yun lamang ang kanyang isprayan. So malaking tipid din po ito. Dahil instead na mag-apply ka sa buong area ng pesticide, kung pesticide or fertilizer, pinpointed na po ito. Ang costing po ng 1 hectare dito is 1 million pesos per hectare.
When you say costing, anong facility piniprovide? 1 million, what covers the 1 million?
Ang minimum area po namin is 10 hectares. So minimum area po na malagyan namin is 10 hectares, 10 million per system. Ang coverage po is yung georesistivity kasi kailangan mo po na pong makita kung may tubig o wala doon sa area. Hindi yung drill ka lang ng drill. And then yung development po ng well, yung paglagay ng pipe, of course yung pump niya, yung solar panel, solar pump, yung perimeter fence, yung fertigation. May fertigation po ito eh. And drip irrigation.
So,
doon sa whole system.
okay. So, may drip irrigation kayo. So, kasama na to 1 million per hectare.
Yes po.
Kasama yung the software, hardware,
Yes.
and all the facilities.
Yes,
So,
yes.
for every area, 1 million each yon. So, if you have X number of hectares spread over the Philippines na you do this special irrigation, ganon ang cost na
Yes, sir.
sa gobyerno?